I could definitely open up more. It's just I'm one of the type of people like it's hard for me to really just open up to somebody so fast. I don't want to move too fast, then something else happen.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Blackbird. Another one. It's your favorite dating and relationship coach. Yes, we're here with another one talking to you about fear. You see, when we talk about a lot about our attachment styles on this particular channel, and today we're talking about dismissive, avoidant once more again. The gentleman you just saw there, Coye, has unfortunately lost out and has been kicked off the island. And why? Simply because he allowed himself to have fear that made him lazy in the dating stage. If you be lazy in a dating stage and somebody is actually, willing to prioritize their own needs and wants and has a healthy relationship with self, you're always going to lose out because they're unwilling to settle for less. It is a bare minimum that you are able to open up, be vulnerable, and be able to share your thoughts, your mind, your thoughts, your heart, your emotions. These are core components to having a relationship. A relationship is built on the emotional connection, the ability to share our thoughts, our intimate thoughts, the ability to see the little details, the ability to able to create safe spaces, the ability not to be judged, etc., right? But he, unfortunately, being 6'8", handsome, dark skin, bearded up, good teeth, seemingly a good stature too, right? This guy had all the facilities and the assets to dominate the field. It's almost like when Shaq has all the abilities to dominate forever, but doesn't do it all the way through because you see, hard work will always beat the talent if the talent doesn't actually work hard. Do you see what I'm saying to you? So in this instance, he had all the tools and resources to make it happen and keep this relationship and make it fire. But because he got lazy, born out of fear, his inability to want to open up and be vulnerable because of his attachment style, now he's in a position where he's kicked off the island. Now, what am I talking about? Dismissive, avoidant? Attachment style, if you don't know what that is, attachment style, dismissive, avoidant basically means how we learn to attach to people. Where people begin to share themselves vulnerably with you, what do you tend to do? Do you tend to lean in more? Do you tend to lean out? Now, dismissive avoidants tend to lean out. As soon as someone gives them too much emotion, they tend to want to actually separate themselves from the relationship. They tend to want to create distance emotionally from that person because they can't cope with your emotions and your needs and your wants as such because it's too vulnerable for them. It's overwhelming for them. Right? And so this is really, really, really important because again, this plays a big role in the dating phase. Okay. Now I want to let you know, as soon as somebody like Coye, who's dismissive avoidant, is expected to open up and be vulnerable, they go into hiding. Right? They go into hiding and they lack the ability to be able to express oftentimes how they actually feel. Let's just go back a little bit. I want to just play this.
At it, trying to
Let me go back a little bit beyond that point.
more. It's just it's easier to talk to him. I just feel like you're a cute little shell, right? And I'm like cracking at it, trying to just get to I don't know if it's harder for you.
Now you notice that she's gonna say, it's very difficult. I have to crack the shell to be able to have a conversation with you. Now that is what a classic dismissive, avoidant kind of person. You have to crack their shell, break past the barriers, beat down the hatchets to almost get past to this person. But if you even get to that place, if you even get to there, because more than likely they're gonna move and shift and run. And they're gonna pull it on you like, oh, it's you that you don't make me feel safe. It doesn't matter how safe you make somebody feel when they're dismissive, avoidant. If they're not willing to open up and be vulnerable, okay, if they're not willing to share parts of themselves, it's gonna be very difficult for the other party. Now she let him know, right? But we saw later on in the episode that he didn't want to come and talk to her. Another thing that dismissive avoidants do is that they're not trying to be the prize, but their inability to emotionally connect very well, their inability to be close to their emotions and be able to express them very well and connect with you very well because they don't connect to themselves very well, okay, is that what ends up happening is that they don't want to chase you. No, because that makes them feel vulnerable. If I chase you, what do you mean I'll chase you? Who are you for me to chase you? No, you're acting like you're something special. And what they're really saying is, you're making me feel like I'm not special. You're making me feel like I have to do all the work here. You're making me feel like, in a sense, like, when they're having to be in a place where they're having to come and consult you, you're making me vulnerable. Yeah, you're making me vulnerable by doing that. If I have to come to you, I can get rejected. That's the biggest fear of a dismissive avoidant. Their greatest fear is being rejected of their needs and wants, because emotionally as a child they were neglected. So now they are afraid of their needs and wants being rejected. So guess what they do? I meet my own needs, you should meet your own. If I get my needs met by myself, so should you. You don't need me to do that for you. Which is insane, because you're in a relationship, right? But that's the thought process, okay? And the third thing is, you cannot force a dismissive avoidant person to chase you. The only way you can get to chase you is actually by quitting the game and saying, you know what, I'm done with this. The moment that you're serious about quitting and you're done, they'll chase you. Because the expectation you've placed upon them deactivates. And as they deactivate, the pressure that they feel also subsides. They'll chase. I know it sounds warped, but that's just how we're thinking, okay? All right? So the moment that she went to Connor, the moment she went to another man, is the moment she sealed the fate of the relationship, because he saw that you can't be trusted. Oh, you went to Connor, have better conversation with Connor. Go on then. I'm going to be nonchalant about it. When really what she wanted was him to actually fight for her. He was like, go on then. Because you're not going to pull me out of my square and you're not going to manipulate me. That's one thing that dismissive avoidants really don't like. They don't like what they feel is what we call emotional manipulation, where they feel like you're trying to manipulate them through their emotions. Remember how they feel about emotions. They feel overwhelmed. So remember, their needs emotionally were not met. So whenever they feel like somebody's being too emotional, they feel like you're manipulating. So now you're going to try and what? Say to me that I should chase you. I should fight for you. You're emotionally manipulative, man. Right? Because that's how they think about it in their head. And some parts, it is emotionally manipulative to have that in the thought process. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Some parts, it is manipulative to do that, right? Okay, cool. So, now, this obviously started way before this point, right? It started here, sorry, I'll come into the point. It started way before this because he let us know in day one he's got trust issues. And I knew straight away when he was tapping his foot, he ain't comfortable, right? And also, I also kind of sense how Jana wanted him to fight. She may have a little bit of that anxiousness in her, not all the way through. I think she's a bit more secure, but she might have a little bit of that anxiousness in her attachment style, just because the way she wanted him to fight. And I was like, why you want him to fight? Like, you want him to change, not fight. You want him to change. And I realized the language is really important. Wanting something, I don't want you to fight for me. I want you to change. I want you to be able to be open and vulnerable with me. That's what I want, right? As well, okay? So also this also plays into instinctively, because they're not trying to do it on purpose, but it plays instinctively into what we call the art of seduction called the coquette. Now the coquette art of seduction is about playing hot and cold. You ever had somebody that was hot one day, all in you, all about you, all on you, messaging, calling, everything hot, then 1 minute they suddenly just go cold? The coquette art of seduction is about pulling, the art of push and pull. And once you have built up a little bit of a rapport with that person, you can do the push and pull. Now you don't do push and pull when you ain't done no pushing at all. You don't do a pull away when you haven't pushed. You don't do hot and cold when you haven't brought no hot before you do cold. You know what I'm saying to you? There's a process to this, and you're flouting the process. You're flouting the art of seduction by not first and foremost at least doing some groundwork. Okay? Now, I'm not telling you to play that role, coquette. I'm just telling you that that's not our seduction, okay? Which is very similar to what we call dismissive avoidance. And that's why dismissive avoidance are actually very sought after. They're sought after because of the hot and the cold. Because a dismissive avoidant at the beginning will be so into you. In the dating stage, they're all over you, it seemingly seems like. And then literally when you want to do commitment, relationship, suddenly he falls away or she falls away. And it's because you have expectancy of them. You expect them to rise to the occasion and be intimate and be vulnerable. You expect them to give a bit more. And they're like, I've given enough. Shut down. Okay? All right? And so you realize that they won't tell you their feelings. And I want to play a little clip here. Look what she was asking for. Okay, look.
How do you feel about me right now?
Cool. Are you feeling kind of more?
It's not that I'm feeling it more. It's just, it's easier.
So she didn't know how he felt about her. She didn't know. And just to make that clear, it actually comes out later on. She says the same thing again. She says, I don't know how he feels about me. He doesn't tell me, right? That's another thing about dismissive avoidance. They won't tell you how they feel.
You know, like I
It's
don't
too
even know
vulnerable
how
to
he
you.
feels. We talk like the most, the longest out of everyone, and I still don't know how he feels. Like that should tell me something, but
So she doesn't know how he feels. Why? Because the dismissive avoidant won't tell you that until he feels absolutely 100% sure that you're safe. Her going to flirt with Connor didn't help. She might have thought that it'll bring him out of shell. No. It sent him further along the line. It told him that he can't trust you. He really had trust issues. And you go and talk to Connor, all right, cool. And you're having better conversations with Connor as well. All right, cool. Out of the blue, yeah? All right, cool. And now you see that in a relationship, you'll see in a relationship that he won't be able to be open with you, right? Now, I'm not blaming Jana at all. I think it's up to him to do so, but I'm just kind of pinpointing this aspects as well, right? That he's not going to, the dismissive avoidance try to avoid sharing their feelings because they know it makes them vulnerable and makes them open, okay? All right? And so his fear of being vulnerable cost him the relationship. His fear of wanting to actually share how he feels about her has cost him a relationship. It costs people relationships when you don't want to be open about how you actually feel about people. It costs you a relationship when you're unwilling to share parts of yourself because you're afraid of being rejected. It costs you relationships because you feel like, you know what, I can't give you any more than I've already given you. It will always cost you, right? It will always cost you. So choose a path. Right, and that's what I would say about that situation. So, but you know, like, listen, if you're somebody who goes through dismissive avoidant tendencies, reach out to me. This is the stuff that we're working on with clients as well. I don't want you to suffer. All right, I don't want it to be carnage for you. Make sure you grab your hoodie down below as well, please. Grab your stuff. I don't want it to be carnage for you. I want your relationships to flourish. I want your relationships to win. But we can only do that when we actually really be honest about the type of connections we're actually building with people. We can only do that when we realize, actually, maybe I am the problem. Maybe I'm the one that's causing my issues. Maybe I'm somebody who has been separate and been hurt by a lack of consideration, or I feel like I react really badly when I'm not considered or loved or cared for, and you get a narrative in your head. Shout me, all right? My calendar's there. Click on and get involved, all right? Appreciate you guys. We'll see you again soon.